Hello, it's me, God. But you can call me Captain Morgan. This is the Two Old Pirates podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, get busy listening or get busy dying. I'd rather be listening to Two Old Pirates. Like and subscribe.
Hello and welcome to episode 89 of the Two Old Pirates, season 5. This is the beginning of our new season, so I hope that you guys will enjoy and be sticking around for the whole season. Have some new interesting stuff that'll be coming up over the next year. This episode 89, is called When a Fetch Becomes Grisly. And this is a true story of something that you will not believe. In January of 2002, a hunter in the northwestern part of Georgia, he went out dove hunting. It was dove season still. He went out with his trusty dog, and after he spent some time, shot some, he saw some doves a little bit further away, and he got a bead on them, shot at them, got his dog to go retrieve. The dog took a little while coming back. He kept on calling for him. He finally came back, and when he did, he didn't have a dove or doves in his mouth. He had what looked to be the remains of a human arm. To say that the hunter was a little bit scared and shaken up is to say the least. He went ahead and got on his phone and called the local police. The local police came out and they did identify it as part of a human body, primarily part of the forearm of a human body. Eventually, after what the local police had found, they knew it was a little bit over their pay grade. So they called in the FBI, who also called in the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, to check and see what was going on here. Because they were finding more bones than could fit with one person. And they thought, oh my gosh, we have a dumping ground. They didn't know if it was a serial killer or what happened. But what they did know was that each body that they found, each set of bones that they found, was another person. And it started adding up. This led to bones such as skulls, pelvic bones, forearms, femurs, tibias, ulnas. Hundreds and hundreds of square yards were searched out in this wooded area, and they found more and more corpses. Some were still rotting. Some had been picked apart by scavengers. It was a very ugly and kind of scary scene for many people that had been on many different crime scenes, but to see this many dead bodies was kind of a scary thing. This all took place in a small town called Noble, Georgia. It wasn't a serial killer. In fact, the culprit turned out to be a very popular local business, trusted by thousands and thousands of people. See, there was a man named Mr. Marsh. And Mr. Marsh in the 1970s set up a local funeral home for all the local little bitty towns to bring their deceased. And he ran it, and he was a good man. A lot of people trusted him. But he ran it for about 20 years, and after about 20 years, he started slowing down, so he turned it over to his son. So in around 1996, the son took over and decided to change things. Sometime around 1996 or 1997, up until that day in 2002, he decided that he'd take your loved ones who had passed on, grandparents, uncles, aunts, moms, dads, children, and those that had decided to have a cremation would have a full service, a wake. They would have, it would cost between $1,000 to $2,000, and they would get an urn with their loved ones' remains in it. But those bodies had never been cremated. They found out over time over 350 bodies that were brought to that funeral home to be cremated were simply turned over to them. And when they'd say, you can come back at this time for the service, then we'll give you the urn and things like that. He then proceeded to take the bodies out the back of the funeral home, which abutted up against the woods, the same woods that hunter was that we talked about at the beginning of this, and bring them deep, deep, deep into the woods, a couple hundred yards, and dump them. your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents, everybody that you thought was coming back in that urn that had been cremated and that you could keep in little bitty, things around your neck for good luck, or you could keep them in the house to remember them, or you could scatter them in the sea. Yeah, they were being eaten by raccoons and buzzards and dogs and pigs and you name it. What had happened is that those 350 different bodies had literally been scattered over hundreds of square yards in the back of this wooded area that was very, very dense in woods. And in return, what he did give you was an urn. And you did scatter those ashes. The problem was, since none of it was actually bodies, they found out that it was actually quick, dry cement. Like the big bags, the heavy bags you can get that you just mix with a little bit of water and pour it, and you can, boom, do your cement. For a 60-pound bag today in 2023, they still go for about $4 or $5. So if you just do the math, say he was nice and charged $1,000 for the cremation. The urn might have cost him $15-$20. Puts about 25-30 cents worth of cement, mix in there, hands it over to you, and that's dad, that's mom, that's grandma, that's great grandma. And you would take it and spread it in a river, or you'd spread it in the backyard, or you'd hold on to it because you just want to be close to them still. Well, in all actuality, this sick son of a bitch had dumped them out in the woods to be gnawed on by all measures of beings, all different animals and insects. And that's where they were. That's kind of a gut punch. Not only do you lose a loved member of your family, and all you get back is that little bit of remains, and it means so much to you, but you're actually getting something that you can go down to the Home Depot or Lowe's and buy for $5. And he looked at you in the eyes and took your $1,000 and cashed that. Over a 6-year period of time, at least 350 people that happened to. They were never cremated. They were set out in the woods to be feasted on and to rot. Out of those 350, they were only able to DNA 266 of them. So if you weren't officially given DNA records, your loved ones are probably still scattered somewhere out there. And God knows who wants to go search through hundreds and hundreds of square yards behind a old crematorium. Now, at trial, he said, the only reason I did that is because the crematorium was broken. And I could not cremate any of these bodies. And I didn't want to hurt the families because we were like one of the only funeral homes in the area and they trusted us. So I did my best. I dumped their loved ones. I cashed their check. I gave them concrete mix, but only because it was broken. Which they found out that if it would have been broken, it would have cost about $5,000 to fix. That would be 5 cremations that he would have had to have done that he got checks from at the bare minimum, and he would have had that fixed, and everything would have been fair. But he didn't do that. He got selfish. So over those 350 some odd people, he cashed all those checks. He took all that money. Now, when he went to court and all this came out, and they found out that no, the crematorium actually did work. There's a couple things that needed to be fixed with it, but it was perfectly fine. It could work. He simply didn't want to do cremations anymore. He simply took those bodies and dumped them. Now, you might ask me, what are some of the criminal causes of this? Desecration of a corpse, illegal business practices. He ended up with 787 charges. 787. And when you added out how many years he would have gotten if he was found guilty on every single one of those, it was in the thousands of years. Thousands, not thousand, thousands, plural. So he had almost 800 charges and thousands of years looking at him in the prison. So what did he do? He cut a plea deal, admitted that he was wrong, that he would never do anything like that again, and he was given 12 years in prison and 75 years of probation. He's out. He was released in June of 2016, and he has been a free person ever since. I hope to God he did not go back into the cremation business because he failed it the first time horribly. But that is a true story of when going to fetch something brings back grandma's arm. That's the true story of the Marsh family their crematorium and how they bilked hundreds of thousands of dollars out of people over 6 years while allowing them to rot and be eaten in the backyard, literally. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. It was a short one. I hope that you found this story interesting. I've always found it interesting and tried to bring it up. And I hope that you like the new season. We have a whole lot of new stuff coming to you. So please, if you've not already subscribed, please log in to your Google account or whatever. Subscribe to YouTube, Two Old Pirates. We're over 700 now. I want to thank everybody that's got us to over 700. And I hope to see you real soon. Love you. Peace.